Please, shall we all rise for the arrival of the minister and the entourage? Thank you. Thank you, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Shall we resume our seats? Shall we kindly resume our seats, please? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was a beautiful display. Good morning and a warm welcome to the beautiful land of Ghana, Accra, the host of the ATUPA 2023 International Conference here at the Accra International Conference Center. This conference is organized by the Association of Technical Universities and Polytechnics in Africa, and in partnership with the Ministry of Education Ghana, African Union, China Education Association for International Exchange, and the Startup Africa. Shall we begin formally opening this session with the national anthem of the Republic of Ghana? Thank you. Shall we all rise for the national anthem, please? Thank you. Kindly resume your seats. At this juncture, may I now invite the moderator for the opening session, Professor Osei, the Vice Chancellor, Kumasi Technical University, to steer affairs of this session. Thank you. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to ATUPA 2023 Accra on the theme
mainstreaming TVET for skills development, mobility, and mainstreaming and resilient economies in Africa. Sorry, I will take that again. The theme is mainstreaming TVET for skills development, mobility, and resilient economies in Africa. I am Engineer Professor Osei, the Vice Chancellor of Kumasi Technical University, and I have the distinguished honor of being the moderator for this session of this morning's program. Thank you very much. This morning's session officially marks the opening of ATUPA 2023 Accra, and we are fortunate to have in our midst very important personalities who will be sharing their thoughts with us this morning. In a little while, I will introduce them. This session is going to be 2 hours, okay? And I'm hoping that we'll keep to schedule so that in exactly 2 hours, we'll be done with this session. As we noticed yesterday, I think we started rather late, and when we ended, we were, I think, 2 hours or so behind schedule. I hope that it wouldn't be the same today. I would want to begin by introducing the dignitaries that we have with us this morning, and I'll start from my extreme end there. We have Mr. Yu Yunfeng, Secretary General, China Education Association of International Exchange, CEAIE. Mr. Yu, you are most welcome to today's program and to Ghana. I understand you've been here the last 2 days. I hope you've been enjoying your stay in these few days you've been in our country. We have with us also Professor Yayara, who is the Director of Tertiary at the Ministry of Education. Prof, you're welcome. We have with us this morning Dr. Fred Asamoah, who is the Director General of CTVET Ghana. Fred, you're most welcome. And then we have our own Professor Ben Honyenuga, who is the Vice Chancellor of Ho Technical University, and also who happens to be the Chairman of the Local Organizing Committee. Prof, you're most welcome. We have Dr. Jahou Samba Faal, who is the Secretary General of ATUPA. Doc, you're most welcome. We have with us this morning also Professor Laila Abubacar. Professor Abubacar is the ATUPA Executive Board Chairperson. Prof also happens to be the Vice Chancellor of Mombasa Technical University in Kenya. Prof, you are most welcome. And then we have a very distinguished personality in the person of Professor Mohammed Belhocine. Professor Belhocine is the Commissioner, Education, Science, Technology, and Innovation of the African Union Commission in Addis Ababa. Prof, we are honored to have you join us this morning at this program. And then, last but not the least, we have with us this morning here the Honorable Minister of Education of Ghana, Honorable Dr. Osei Adutwum, a very distinguished individual. Doc, it's a pleasure to have you join us this morning. You are most welcome. So, as you said, we have 2 hours for this session, and I'm hoping that we'll move with schedule so that we wouldn't go beyond 2 hours. And therefore, I will go right away to invite Professor Ben Honyenuga, who is the chairman of the local organizing committee, to come and do the welcome address. Prof.
Thank you very much, our moderator, Professor Osei. Honorable Minister for Education, Honorable Dr. Osei Adutwum, who is our chief guest today, Your Excellency, Professor Mohammed Belhocine, Commissioner, EU Commissioner, Education, Science, Technology, and Innovation, the Secretary General of ATUPA, Dr. Jahou Samba Faal, the Chairperson of ATUPA, Professor Laila, Chairperson, Vice Chancellors of Technical University, Ghana, and colleague Vice Chancellors here present, representative of the Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, Dr. Newman, who is in charge of policy, Director General of the Commission for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, CEAIE, Dr. Asamoah, the Secretary General of the China Education Association for International Exchange. We acknowledge you. We acknowledge our distinguished keynote speakers who are here with us. Let me acknowledge in a very special way Dr. G.M. Apeti, a former Secretary General of the then CAPA, which has transformed to ATUPA. We are happy you are here with us. Registrars of and secretaries of technical universities and polytechnics here present, heads of institutions, CEOs and captains of industry. Let me acknowledge in a very special way our brother Erastus, the CEO for Startup Africa, who is in charge of the youth program. Let me acknowledge also the members of the local organizing committee, our distinguished invited guests from all over Africa, West Africa, South Africa, East Africa, North Africa. We acknowledge all of you. Very distinguished invited guests, and acknowledge everyone here present. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and privilege to welcome you all on behalf of the local organizing committee and also on behalf of the Vice Chancellors of Technical Universities, Ghana, to the 2023 ATUPA International Conference in the capital city of Ghana. We wish to commend the entire ATUPA family and the General Assembly of Heads of Member Institutions for unanimously granting Ghana the hosting rights for the 2023 conference, which is being held under the auspices of the Vice Chancellors of Technical Universities of Ghana. In view of the relevance and prospects of the conference, the local organizing committee was constituted by the Vice Chancellors of Technical Universities Ghana to liaise with the ATUPA Secretariat in Kenya to make the necessary preparations for the conference in Ghana. As expected, a lot of work has been done by the LOC, and may I invite you to applaud the LOC for their dedication and commitment towards a successful conference in Ghana. Let's applaud them. At this juncture, and on behalf of the LOC, I wish to express our sincere appreciation to the government of Ghana, and especially Honorable Dr. Osei Adutwum, our chief guest and Minister for Education, for the endorsement and unwavering support we have received for the conference. We are most grateful. We also wish to convey our sincere thanks to the chairman of the Regional Security Council, the Greater Accra Regional Minister, who has supported us in diverse ways for this conference to be a success. The Director Generals of the GTEC and the CTVET who stood firmly behind us to ensure that we have a successful conference. We say thank you to you all. And all our partners and sponsors who are here to make sure we are able to hold this conference, we say thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly permit me to also extend our sincere appreciation to the Secretary General of ATUPA, Dr. Jahou Samba Faal, the Chairperson and her team for their cooperation and support to the LOC in ensuring that we have this day. I can recall the many Zoom meetings that we had and even in-person meetings that they had to travel all the way from Kenya to be here to ensure that we are on course for the preparation. We say thank you. In fact, we are excited to be part of the ATUPA conference as hosts in view of its significance and potential to trigger the required actions towards ensuring our collective fortunes locally and globally. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme for the conference, Mainstreaming TVET for Skills Development, Mobility and Resilient Economics in Africa, is apt and relevant in view of the urgent need to address the socioeconomic challenges and high unemployment rates in Africa. Essentially, the outcome of the conference is expected to enhance stakeholders' sensitivity on the prevailing economic trends, as well as Africa-specific instruments that can be harnessed for the renewal and consolidation of technical vocational skills development programming in Africa. It is therefore our expectation that at the end of this conference, all participants will be encouraged to maximize all available opportunities to deepen skills acquisition in order to enhance our socioeconomic development. As I conclude my welcome statement, it is important to state that the necessary arrangements have been made to ensure that you enjoy your stay in Ghana. Please, as you are aware, please, as you find yourself in the beautiful and peaceful country, Ghana, I invite you to visit some of our tourist destinations on the 1st of September, which is dedicated to tours and benchmarking of TVET institutions in Ghana. I wish to thank you all for your attention and the decision to be in Ghana. We believe this conference will be a memorable one for all of us. I wish you all a successful and memorable conference. But before I take my seat, it's not intended to end on a sad note. Just last Wednesday, when I was here on Monday and Tuesday to welcome the Secretary General and to plan for the conference, we had a meeting together with the Executive Secretary of the Vice Chancellors of Technical Universities, Ghana. On Monday, on Tuesday we had meeting. On Wednesday we were to meet at the Minister of Education's office. We were there at 8 o'clock. He didn't show up. We only got the news that he got up in the morning, went for jogging, had his bath, and told the people he was coming to meet us at the minister's office. Unfortunately, he could not join us. And he said he was feeling funny. He took a Uber to get to the next clinic. He died in the Uber. He would have been here to support us, but I think it's fair that I invite the whole of Africa, all of us, to stand and observe a minute silence in memory of our departed brother, Paul Ufurikra. may his beautiful soul rest in perfect peace. Amen.
Thank you, our indefatigable Professor Ben Honyenuga. Ben is such a resourceful gentleman that wherever you place him, trust me, he will try. Ben, thank you very much. I have a little correction to make. When I introduced the delegate from China, I inadvertently mentioned him as Mr. Yu Yongfeng, as the Secretary General of CEAIE. Indeed, Mr. Yu Yongfeng is the Secretary General, except that he's not here with us this morning. Instead, his deputy, the Deputy Secretary General of China Education Association for International Exchange, he is here in the person of Mr. Zong. So, Mr. Zong, let me apologize for the omission. Okay, the next to address us is Dr. Jahou Samba Faal. Dr. Faal is the Secretary General of ATUPA. Doc.
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the occasion, Your Excellencies, Honorable Adutwum, Commissioner, Education, Science, Technology and Innovation of the African Union Commission, Professor Mohammed Belhocine, distinguished personalities of the high table, the representative of the Secretary General of CEAIE in the person of the Deputy Secretary General, Zong, distinguished guests, heads of member institutions, the Chairperson and members of the ATUPA Executive Board here present, our esteemed stakeholders and partners, the WETED champions in Africa, the former Secretary General of CAPA, Dr. Afeti, the youth, friends, and colleagues of CAPA ATUPA, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Ham Jambo. Mia Wose. Bonjour, Assalamu alaikum. Allow me to begin by welcoming you to the ATUPA Annual International Conference holding in Accra, Ghana. It is so refreshing to meet all of you again after we last met in Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe, a year ago. Indeed, it is really a humbling experience to be hosted in a country where ATUPA, formerly CAPA, was conceptualized way back in 1978. So Accra is the birthplace of our association. We certainly are at our roots and of course at our best. I try to be wearing my bottom box, as we say in our language, so that we all look really good, and I can see the color that has been added really for marking this particular occasion. Allow me, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to present our compliments to the Republic of Ghana and state that we are honored to have this opportunity to showcase our members' enthusiasm on mainstreaming TVET for skills development, for mobility, and resilient economies in Africa. Furthermore, we as an association in particular take this opportunity to appreciate the Honorable Minister of Education, Republic of Ghana, for allowing the LOC to put together this event. The LOC indeed took the challenge and made this conference possible. Professor Ben Honyenuga and his team ensured that all the delegates arrived here, both with dignity and without any hitches. We can therefore never thank them enough for the support they have received, or we have received, towards holding this conference and for their efforts towards making TVET education the cornerstone for wealth creation in Africa. I also take this opportunity to appreciate the Commissioner of Education, Science, Technology, and Innovation of the African Union Commission, Professor Mohammed Belhocine. We have all felt his energy, your commitment, and foresight towards the advancement of TVET education through his support for ATUPA at the Commission level. Your Excellency, we are grateful. May I also take this opportunity to thank all our distinguished guests, our delegates, our participants who are present here physically, and those that will join us virtually. Ladies and gentlemen, ATUPA is graciously cushioned by your presence. Thank you. We look forward to a successful conference that will go a long way in shaping our perceptions, our policies, and focus on TVET education. As you all know, the association, 45 years old, a month ago, was established by a resolution of the 7th Commonwealth Conference of Education Ministers that was held here in Accra way back in 1978. Its mandate was to support professional and skills development and promote policy advocacy in favor of TVET. Now, since its inception, the association has been hosted by the government of the Republic of Kenya at the Technical University of Kenya, formerly known as the Kenya Polytechnic. This is located in Nairobi in Kenya, and we continue to enjoy diplomatic immunities and all that comes with it from this country of Kenya. The membership has grown tremendously, and we now boast of 225 member institutions across 21 countries in Africa. Now, the countries are spread according to the regions of the association. Formerly 3, but now we've grown to 5, and we hope we will be able to cover all the 5 regions of Africa with our membership base. The membership demonstrates a well-integrated profile of technical universities, polytechnics, and technical colleges that are all oriented towards knowledge and skills acquisition for the world of work. In August 2019, the General Assembly of CAPA, now ATUPA, with heads of member institutions who are here present at this conference, unanimously passed a resolution and approved the rebranding of the association from CAPA to ATUPA. Now, having been granted a no objection to the change of name by the Republic of Kenya, where, like I said, we enjoy all the diplomatic privileges and immunities. I'm glad to report that we have since held our first regional conference in a Francophone country, Sali, beautiful city of Sali, hosted by one of our executive board members, Professor Nyang, from Senegal, and this was in April 2023. So right away, we opened the doors of ATUPA for non-Commonwealth countries to join. Thank you, Professor Yang, for really hosting us in April in Senegal, and for being the first Francophone country to join the association. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have not yet achieved our target of embracing the entire continent, but we have no doubt that we shall do so under the guidance of the African Union Commission, strongly demonstrated by the presence of the Commissioner. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Kappa ATUPA has indeed come a long way. It has had its low moments and, of course, the high moments. Whilst it has surmounted the low moments, it has recorded its achievements that range from pioneering the introduction of entrepreneurship education in the curricula of institutions, member institutions. We continue to strongly advocate for improving access to women in technical education through the establishment of WETED. This is a program that is going to have a session of their own later on today, and we will invite participants really to be present and participate during that session. I am glad to report that WETED is now institutionalized in all Kappa events. And I'm sure some of you that had been present in the few past events of ATUPA conferences, you would attest to the fact that, yes, indeed, WETED is now part of the side events taking place in conferences. Let me assure you, Your Excellency, Honorable Minister, distinguished guests, that we have a variety of programs, a rich program indeed, that is ahead of us, starting from today, using the great database of experts that had honorably accepted to be part of this event. You will enjoy the guest speakers who have been carefully selected to suit our needs as Tibet advocates in Africa. We shall also have a panel discussion on enriching an understanding of various aspects of Tibet education. The technical sessions shall showcase the brilliant minds in our various faculties through paper presentations. Please ensure that you attend the sessions of your preference. I'm also challenging everyone here to take note and action on all the issues that will be discussed, since we are all aiming at enriching our knowledge in Tibet. Besides this conference, please let us take time while in Accra to enjoy the warm hospitality around, and when we return to our home countries, our provinces, our districts, and our counties, we shall carry along the memories of Accra. This year's conference, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is a joint initiative between our various sponsoring governments, institutions, valued partners, such as CEAIE and ATUPA, to provide the framework for all governmental, institutional, and bilateral development action plans in the African continent. The master plan serves as an incentive for ATUPA's mandate of supporting professional and skills development among its member institutions across the continent. In this effort, ATUPA is further guided by global Tibet trends and their implications for Africa transformational agenda. The theme of the conference had been highlighted, and it is on mainstreaming Tibet for skills mobility and resilient economies in Africa. We also hope that the theme will draw on our understanding of current trends in the global Tibet environment and the statutory incentives of multilateral tools like the 2030 Agenda and the recent AU instruments like the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement to revise the existing paradox of non-resilient and international Tibet programming models in Africa. It aims at reinforcing and augmenting the existing programs and partnerships within the frames of an emerging trend of an increasingly portable and combined continental economy. Finally, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to provide a brief overview of this year's conference. For the last 5 years, we have held the main conference alongside the Youth Forum. The components of the main conference would include ATUPA Awards of Excellence, the parallel technical sessions, depending on the sub-themes of the main theme, and then the general conference of heads of institutions where major decisions of the association are made. The revival of WETED is part of it, like I alluded to. This year's program is therefore very wide and enriching and educative. Let us therefore have a memorable time in Accra, Ghana. Having now given the overview of this conference, permit me, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to now invite the representative of my counterpart from China, Zong. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Dr. Faal, Secretary General ATUPA. I will briefly, in a little while, invite the next speaker, but I have this testimony to give. Okay, earlier this year, a colleague of mine and my good self from my university, we visited China. My university has a collaborative arrangement with two institutions, Weifang Vocational College and Rizal Polytechnic. So we were privileged to visit these institutions for about 5 days. And I tell you, what we saw there by way of their workshops, laboratories, their commitment to TVET education is unbelievable. Okay. There's a lot we can learn from our Chinese colleagues. And that's why we are privileged this morning to have with us Mr. Zong, who will give an address on this subject. Mr. Zong.
His Excellency, Honorable Dr. Osei Adutwum, His Excellency, Professor Mohammed Belhocine, and distinguished ATUPA Secretary General Dr. Jahou Samba, and also the leaders of ATUPA, distinguished guests, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm so pleased and honored to attend the ATUPA 2023 International Conference. First of all, please allow me, on behalf of China Education Association for International Exchange and also the Chinese TVET delegation here, to congratulate the Congress organizer ATUPA on the success of the Congress, and to express our warmest greetings to all the participants present today. I still remember CEAIE President Professor Liu Liming and also my colleague Secretary General Dr. Yu were invited to deliver the speech at the ATUPA conference virtually in 2021 and 2022. Today, it is excited that we can finally meet with each other to discuss and explore future cooperation face-to-face for the post-COVID period of time. China is the largest developing country in the world, while Africa is the continental with the largest number of developing countries. Shared past experiences and similar aims and goals have brought China and Africa close together. We trust each other, and our friendship is rocket solid. The success of Beijing Summit of Forum on China-Africa Cooperation in 2018, and also the 8th Ministerial Conference in 2021, as well as the release of China-Africa Cooperation Vision 2035 have pushed China-Africa cooperation to a new and unprecedented high level. After years of dedicated efforts, such cooperation has yielded fruitful results, improving the conditions for economic and social development in Africa, and also bringing tangible benefits to people in both China and Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, during the China-Africa Leaders Dialogue held 5 days ago in Johannesburg, South Africa, Chinese President Xi Jinping made an announcement of 3 new initiatives to support Africa's industrialization, agriculture modernization, and talent development. China's Ministry of Education is responsible for this talent development initiative, which means China will pair 100 Chinese TVET institutions and 100 African TVET institutions, and will train 500 administrators and teachers of TVET and 10,000 technical personnel in both Chinese language and vocational skills for Africa each year. We believe working together, we will write an even more splendid multilateral cooperation in the fast-changing world and set a shining example for building a new type of international cooperation and relations. Technical vocational education and training is increasingly recognized as an effective means of equipping and empowering young people to engage in productive and sustainable livelihood in the knowledge economy and society. The youth population of Africa is also emphasized in Agenda 2063 as one of the most important resources that Africa has for achieving the vision of peaceful, integrated, and prosperous Africa. In the current macroeconomic and financial environment in particular, TVET will effectively accelerate of socio-economic development, achieve SDGs, and empower young people with skills that can contribute to social prosperity and poverty alleviation. The same as African countries, China has also been recognizing the important and unique role of TVET plays in many aspects. To boost the TVET cooperation between China and Africa, CEAIE and ATUPA have started partnership for 4 years. In June 2019, leaders of Chinese and African TVET institutions met in Kenya for the first China-Africa TVET conference. In 2020, the 2 associations launched implementation of Future of Africa, China-Africa TVET program. In 2022, CEAIE and ATUPA jointly established a platform called the China-Africa TVET Cooperation Consortium. Yesterday, we have organized the 2023 CEATCC annual conference and achieved fruitful results. We do appreciate the continuous efforts and support from ATUPA as well as all African partners. We look forward to a closer and more constructive partnership in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, I also would like to take this opportunity to share with you the China TVET system and its reform, and also our expectations on China-Africa TVET cooperation. China's TVET sector has witnessed over 50 years of development. According to latest statistics from the Chinese Ministry of Education, China runs the largest TVET system in the world, with more than 8,700 vocational technical institutions, enrolling over 30 million students. Among these institutions, there are 1,500 higher vocational technical institutions, enrolling 13 million students, which accounts for over 50% of China's higher education system. We create smart TVET learning platform, which include 1,000 plus teaching resources libraries, 6,000 plus online courses, and 2,000 plus video courses of almost cover 60 majors. We place great importance on international cooperation. We held the World Vocational Technical Education Development Conference last year, established the China-Africa TVET Cooperation Consortium, and also China-ASEAN TVET Consortium and BRICS TVET Cooperation Alliance. In August 2022, Chinese Ministry of Education launched a white paper on the development of vocational education in China. It highlights the facts that the TVET has been providing the dividends of human resources for Chinese industry and economy. TVET now boasts over 1,300 majors and has cultivated 61 million high-quality personnel for various industry sectors. Over the past decades, over 70% of newly added labor forces at the front line are graduates from TVET institutions. The employment rate of TVET institution graduates has been maintained at a very high level, with the secondary TVET institution and the higher vocational institution also surpassing 95% and 90% of employability. From 2013 and 2023, a total number of over 10 million families have benefited from TVET education, which were described as one person in vocational education means one person for employment and one household out of poverty in China. As for the TVET reform, since 2012, the Chinese government has prioritized TVET in its economic development and educational reform plan. In face of new development patterns and new requirements of workforce, the TVET sector aims to provide alternative educational choices and career paths for individuals and prepare workforce to meet the needs of industrial upgrading, such as digital transformation, artificial intelligence, ESTI, and etc., for the socio-economic development. In April 2022, the revised vocational education law came into effect. The law encouraged traditional secondary school to offer courses on technical and vocational subjects. According to the law, vocational education is as important as general education, and consequently, vocational education graduates should enjoy equal education and career opportunities. Meanwhile, Chinese government also encouraged substantial cooperation and interrogation of educational institutions with industry, so as to better match the supply of high-quality workforce with industrial demands. Enterprises are encouraged to engage in the whole process of student training, including course design and delivery, faculty training and coaching, and also apprenticeship. Ladies and gentlemen, regarding the future TVET cooperation between China and African countries, I wish to make the following recommendations. The first is the joint implementing the Future of Africa program. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres once said at the World Youth Skills Day, young people are drivers of change and must be fully engaged in decisions affecting their future. The Future of Africa program aims at supporting African youth to improve technical and vocational skills and employability, and promoting socio-economic development in Africa, as well as enhancing mutual understanding and friendship between Africa and China. Future of Africa projects focusing on 3 areas: talent joint training, standards and curricular developments, and teachers' capacity building. Jointly run by ATUPA and CEAIE, the CATCC, the consortium I just mentioned, is a platform facilitating communication and information sharing, enhancing students and faculty mobility. Up to now, 14 Chinese vocational institutions have been partnered with 14 African institutions from 11 countries. 287 students from 12 African countries have been enrolled. The skill certification of 12 majors have been developed. Over 1,000 TVET faculties from 13 African countries have been trained online and on-site. We welcome more African institutions to join the Future of Africa program and also became CATCC member institution. Second, enhancing TVET through digital transformation. Digital transformation leads to massive changes in the skill setting needed for the work and life. As we can see, digitalization will be a strong driving force for the high quality development of TVET. By using 5G technology, AR and VR applications, as well as artificial intelligence and other digital means, more than 90% of the TVET students in China are allowed to practice in virtual environment and access to rich digital learning resources. We propose to share experiences of improving online learning platform and creating online courses and database. By doing this, we believe more students can access to free and high quality online education resources, which will lower students' education costs and enhance accessibility and equality. Third, improving school-industry partnership. The relationship between TVET institution and industry have been of great importance for quality of TVET. Through this partnership and synergy, it is expected that the competence of workers will continue to be maintained in accordance with the needs of industry. China and Africa have been economic and trade cooperation expanding rapidly in scale and extent. Over the past decades, China has established over 3,500 companies of various types across African continent. We propose to strengthen our cooperation in improving school-industry partnership, especially the partnership between African schools and Chinese industry. By doing this, we believe TVET graduates will be groomed with the skill that is needed in the future workplace. Number 4, promoting green TVET and lifelong learning. In Berlin Declaration on Education for Sustainable Development, UNESCO calls for changes that are urgently needed to fully integrate and strengthen SDGs in the teaching environment, curriculum, and teaching methods under all contexts. In 2022, the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Security of China released the new National Occupational Classification, which identify 133 green occupations, encouraging youth to engage in and lead in green economy. For the next step, we will gradually provide TVET students more flexible, resourced, convenient, and accessible learning opportunities and resources for their career. We propose to strengthen our cooperation in promoting green TVET and lifelong learning between Chinese and African institutions by sharing best practices and ideas. By doing this, we believe that the consensus on the importance of these two concepts can be generated in a wider range. Ladies and gentlemen, China-Africa TVET Education Cooperation has broad prospects. Let's work closely in developing education, enhance the education level for all, especially for women, children, and youth in particular, and cultivate young leaders and high-quality technical talents in all areas. CEAIE will continue to strengthen partnership with ATUPA and other African partners, jointly build up high-level China-Africa TVET education community with a shared future. Thank you for your attention. I wish the Congress a great success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zong. I couldn't agree with you more when you said China has a mind to strengthen cooperation with ATUPA. And you've demonstrated it to bring so many academic heads of institutions to be part of this program amply proves your point. We thank you very much for your thoughts that you've shared with us this morning. Our next speaker is Professor Laila Abubacar. Professor Abubacar is the chairperson of the executive board of ATUPA. She is also the Vice Chancellor of University of Mombasa, Kenya. Professor Laila Abubacar, you're welcome.
Our Honorable Minister for Education in the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Osei Adutwum, Commissioner, Education, Science and Technology and Innovation under the African Union Commission, Professor Mohammed Belhocine, Deputy Secretary General for China Educational Association for International Exchange, Zong, who's here with us, Ghana Treasury Education Commission, the Director, Dr. Emmanuel Newman. We also have, who's in charge of policy and research. We also have with us Director General for TVET, Dr. Asanwa, heads of member institutions for ATUPA. By today, we've had 11 countries that have registered, delegates from 11 countries. We have the members of the ATUPA board, executive board, former SG for ATUPA, Dr. Afeti, who's here with us, our esteemed stakeholders and partners. We have the Startup Africa. I've seen Jacqueline from Federation of Kenya Employers from Kenya, who's here with us. Our colleagues, the youth, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning to you all. Habari zenu, Machi, Zao Shanghao. I'm indeed delighted
to welcome you all to our 46th annual ATUPA conference in Ghana. This indeed is an auspicious occasion for all of us, as you've heard the ST saying that actually ATUPA, which used to be before it was called Kappa, it was actually, the idea was initiated in this town in Accra, Ghana. So indeed we are back here today to celebrate our achievements. Allow me first and foremost to appreciate the presence of our Honorable Minister, who's here with us, for honoring our invitation. I remember in March when we came to visit you, and you promised that you will be attending this meeting. We were not sure because normally with the ministers and politicians, you find that most of the time they never honor, they would actually send someone else to represent them. But indeed, this time, you actually honored us by your presence, and we are very, very grateful. I would also like to thank the Commissioner for AUC, Mohammed Belhocine, for also again honoring our invitation. Again, the same March, we were in Ethiopia, in Addis, and when we asked him to come and also bless us with our presence and grace this occasion, he was also telling us that it will also depend on the itinerary. And I know he's extremely also very busy, just like our minister, but he also found time to be here with us. Can we also applaud? As I said earlier, we have delegates from Zimbabwe, Zambia, Lesotho, Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, Ghana, of course, Senegal, Nigeria, and the Gambia. We also have our partners from China who, as you saw since yesterday, they have been also part of this annual conference. We had the China-Africa TVET Cooperation Conference yesterday, and most of you who are there were able to find many, many opportunities, and we heard a lot of the work that they are doing in partnership, both in mainstreaming also the TVET, as well as the opportunities that they have partnered with our institutions in Africa. So there was a lot of collaboration yesterday. Then we have the 5th Pan-African Youth Forum, which was also alongside this conference. It was launched yesterday. And during that meeting, we saw our youth showing off their innovations and their competition. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the African Union Commission and Startup Africa for supporting this Pan-African Youth Forum. The theme of this conference is mainstreaming TVET for skills development, mobility, and resilient economies in Africa. Indeed, we all know that the TVET in Africa has undergone reforms, and most countries now are accepting and mainstreaming TVET in their policies and in their institutions. Africa now has left the old adage whereby the TVET system was for failures. We now know that for us to create employment for our youth, we need to impart skills, and the TVET is the way to go. Yesterday, during the conference, the China-Africa TVET conference, I talked and stressed on the need for the TVET sector to not only impart these skills, but to partner with the industries. And the reason why it is important for us to partner with the industries is that we are supposed to produce products or graduates and teach or train with the industry and not for the industry. So there is a change in mindset. Our curriculums are supposed to integrate the standards that are required in our industry so that by the time our graduates leave the universities and the colleges, they are fit for purpose. We do not want any more half-baked graduates. So it is extremely important for us to embrace this philosophy of partnering with our industry so that we can have the best and our graduates will find employment immediately. We also have our partners, as you've seen yesterday, the China, whereby they are here to help us develop those occupational standards. Yesterday, there was a presentation whereby a number of occupational standards have been developed by partnering with DIT, Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology in Tanzania, which is also one of our member institutions or member country for ATUPA. During that discussion, we found that the main reason why the government of China is coming up with those policies and training our students and our youth in Africa is to allow them to have what we call that opportunity for enterprises, the Chinese enterprises, whenever they come to Africa and get tenders, they normally have to bring their own people. But now with this new development whereby they are actually training our students or our graduates and our youth so that when they finish, that we saw in their program, there was some years whereby they spent in the country, in an African country, and the other time they are spending in China, so that by the time they come and they graduate, our graduates are actually able to take up the challenge and be able to employ in the Chinese enterprises whenever they have an opportunity. So to me, the TVET is really undergoing a lot of transformations, and the issues of mobility and resilience for our economies in Africa is the main thing. I do not want to, you've heard about ATUPA and how it was initiated by our SG, so I do not want again to give our history of ATUPA. Allow me first again to thank you all for being here and gracing this occasion. Indeed, we are really, really grateful for your presence. I now wish to invite our Commissioner for Education, Science, Technology, and Innovation for African Union, His Excellency Professor Mohammed Belhocine. He is originally from Algeria. He's a medical scientist and professor of internal medicine and epidemiology. He is currently as I have just said, the Commissioner for Education, Science, Technology, and Innovation at the African Union Commission. Can you all of us help us to invite? Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Laila Abubacar, for your kind words and for your speech, inspiring speech Honorable Dr. Osei Adutwum, Minister of Education, Ministry of Education, Ghana. I was taught in one of the previous meetings I was attending in Nairobi to use the following trick. For me to avoid any mistake or omission, I just want to stand by the already mentioned protocols. And we save time with that. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and esteemed colleagues, I stand before you today humbled and inspired by the collective pursuit of a brighter future for Africa. Our continent, much more diverse and with a rich heritage, holds within it the potential for greatness. As we gather here to discuss mainstreaming TVET for skills development, mobility, and resilient economies in Africa, we embark on a journey of transformation and empowerment. Thank you, Professor Laila Abubacar and ATUPA for inviting the African Union Commission through myself and my team to be part of this journey. Ladies and gentlemen, TVET lies at the very core of progress, the bridge connecting aspirations to achievement and dreams to reality. In the African context, it is a beacon of hope that illuminates the path toward inclusive and sustainable growth. However, let's not view TVET as merely a means to an end. It is a revolution in itself, a revolution that demands not only our attention, but also our unwavering commitment. Africa's future prosperity hinges in our collective ability to invest in our greatest resource, our people. We must recognize that education, knowledge, and skills are not only keys to individual success, but also the cornerstone of societal advancement. By prioritizing TVET, we unleash the potential of our youth, empowering them with the tools to drive innovation, build resilient economies, and steer Africa towards global competitiveness. We find ourselves at a critical juncture where the world is witnessing transformative change at an unprecedented pace. The fourth industrial revolution is upon us, while rapid advancement of technology shapes every aspect of our lives. In this ever-evolving landscape, the relevance of TVET cannot be overstated as it equips our citizens with adaptable skills that enable them to thrive amidst uncertainty and volatility. Moreover, TVET is not limited by geographical boundaries. It is a gateway to mobility, an opportunity for African talent to transcend borders and collaborate on an international stage. By embracing global mobility, we foster a sense of interconnectedness, breaking down barriers and forging relationships that drive mutual progress. Resilience is the cornerstone of progress, and Africa has demonstrated time and again its capacity to rise from adversity. The challenges we face may be significant, but they also present an opportunity for growth. TVET allows us to build robust and adaptable economies, creating a workforce that can weather storms and innovate amidst challenges. However, our vision for mainstreaming TVET cannot be realized through words alone. It requires bold action, unwavering commitment, and a collaborative approach. We must join hands across nations, governments, businesses, civil society to create an enabling environment for TVET to thrive. it is incumbent upon us to invest in modern infrastructure, leverage technology, and cultivate partnerships that propel Tibet to the forefront of the African agenda. To achieve this, we must ensure that Tibet is not viewed as a secondary choice, but embraced as a first-class option. Let us break free from the shackles of stereotypes and misconceptions. Tibet is not the road less traveled, but rather a pathway that leads to unprecedented opportunities and sustainable prosperity. As we forge ahead with mainstreaming Tibet, let us be mindful of inclusivity. We must provide equal access to Tibet for all, regardless of gender, ethnicity, or socioeconomic status. When we empower our women and girls with skills, we empower the entire communities, unlocking a reservoir of untapped potential. Through the Skills Initiative for Africa project, the African Union Commission and its partners are working to address this type of challenges at the continental level. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, our ambitions are further reinforced by the Continental Education Strategy for Africa, which we call CEAIE 1625, which seeks to address the multifaceted challenges facing education across the continent. By strengthening the quality, relevance, and accessibility of higher education, we equip our students with the skills and knowledge needed to navigate an ever-evolving world. Through collaborative efforts and strategic partnerships, we can ensure that African higher education systems become centers of excellence, nurturing the next generation of leaders, thinkers, and innovators. We recognize that COVID-19 further deepened this crisis in the education ecosystem. Progress toward the attainment of Sustainable Development Goal number 4 on education, the SDG 4. This progress is badly off track. For us at the African Union Commission, this has necessitated urgent collective action to try to transform education on the continent. We took advantage of the Transforming Education Summit in September 2022 in New York to organize an AU high-level side event on transforming education in Africa. We reflected on this with the presence of a number of heads of state, including the chairman of the African Union at the time, His Excellency President Macky Sall, and this side event came up with a call on member states and the global public to join efforts really to transform education. The outcome was a declaration on transforming education in Africa with commitments to bridging the gaps towards the attainment of education-related objectives in our continent. In February this year, at the 36th Ordinary Summit of the African Union, we engaged with our policy organs for the year 2024 to be dedicated to education in Africa. Indeed, every year, the African Union Commission decides on a theme which will be the theme of the year. So this next year will be dedicated to education. And this will be an opportunity for the African Union to re-galvanize member states towards the achievement of CEAIE and SDG 4 targets. Adoption of education as the AU theme for 2024 provides us with a platform to mobilize governments and development partners to rethink the models of education and skill development needed for the Africa we want in the 21st century. And we count on your partnership to make it happen successfully next year. In closing, I call upon each one of us to be the architects of the change, or the change that was mentioned earlier on, and the change that propels Africa to the forefront of the global stage. The African Union is in the process of reviewing the continental TVET strategy, and we will be reaching out to all our partners, and most particularly to ATUPA, for crucial information that will enable us to align the document with the dynamism of our time. We must embrace TVET not as a mere concept, but as a catalyst for tangible progress, a lighthouse guiding us to a future filled with promise and possibility. Together, let us lay the foundation for skills development, foster global mobility, and build resilient economies. Let us rise above the challenges, working hand in hand to empower the youth, enhance productivity, and create a legacy of progress for future generations. Before I conclude, I would like to reflect on some of the fundamentals which should constitute our shared and common ground and concerns. First, there will be no TVET progress whatsoever if Africa remains crippled with armed conflicts. Silencing the guns is a fundamental condition for social and economic progress. It is our shared responsibility to always call for peaceful resolution of conflicts, lest losing the dividends of what we have built so far, be it in terms of infrastructure, human capital, equipment, networking, etc. Second, there will be no TVET progress whatsoever if our economies remain weakened with debt pressure, inequitable global financial systems, low priority given to investing in education in general and TVET in particular. 3, and there will be no TVET progress whatsoever if the upstream education system is not transformed. I am alluding here to STEM education and foundational literacy and numeracy. Indeed, our continent has reached the alarming rate of 90% of poverty education. This means that 9 children out of 10 children at age of 10 are not capable of reading and understanding properly a simple text or doing simple arithmetic operations. At the other edge of the stick, if I may say, what are the adaptive mechanisms and steps that are taken or ought to be taken to adjust with these rapidly growing technologies, particularly artificial intelligence? I think it's time for us as scientists to really have like a think tank to think about how can we adjust, how can we absorb, how can we be ready for that. It is really a huge task ahead. These are key questions. There are so many others, you know, decolonizing the narrative of Africa's history. I was just discussing this with the Honorable Minister before we came in. These are very, very important questions. TVET is important, but if we don't know where we come from and why we want to go, what is it that TVET is important for us? And how can we adjust, adapt our cultural backgrounds, TVET to our cultural backgrounds in such a way that really what we do is beneficial to our communities and to our society? These are key questions and concerns that we cannot skip, as they all have a direct or indirect impact on our efforts towards resilient economies and resilient education systems. Thank you for your attention, and may this conference be a stepping stone on our transformative journey. I wish you an inspiring and impactful conference ahead, and I will be looking forward to the outcomes that I believe will further strengthen our continental policies and practices on innovation and excellence in TVET. God bless Africa. God bless us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Professor Mohammed Belhocine. That a member of the African Union has traveled all the way to join us at this conference shows how important this concept of mainstreaming TVET education is receiving at the highest level of leadership on the continent. Okay. Prof, we are grateful to you for coming to share your thoughts with us. Before the next speaker comes, I will invite the cultural troupe to do us some show. Thank you very much for a wonderful show. I'll invite the next speaker to address us, but just a few words about this individual. Our next speaker is a transformational leader. Okay, those of you in this country can easily attest to the kind of leadership he is providing to the Ghanaian education. In the 2 years, he has been at the helm of affairs at the Ministry of Education. He had his rudimentary education up to the university level in Ghana, but spent the bulk of his career life until recently outside the country, where he became the founder and chief executive officer of the new design charter schools of education. Before founding the new design charter schools, he worked as a mathematics and information technology teacher at Manual Arts High School for 10 years. And these are institutions in the United States of America. At Manual Arts High School, he founded the International Studies Academy, which served as a small learning community where many students thrived socially and academically. In addition, he served as a lead math teacher in the USC Manual Arts Neighborhood Academic Initiative, or in the United States of America. And recently, about 2 years ago, he was appointed the Minister of Education by the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo. And he is described as Minister par excellence in view of the kind of performance that he has brought to bear in the office that he occupies. He has provided an effective roadmap for the development of Ghana and Africa through technical and vocational education training. His penchant for TVET keeps resonating in policies he has spearheaded and is harnessing effective resources for productive TVET implementation. In 2022, he granted scholarships to engineering and medical students from his constituency for the 2022 academic year, and this he did from his own personal resources. With this initiative, the total number of students receiving the MP's scholarship for engineering and medicine has grown tremendously, including closer to his goal of supporting 100 students within a 10-year time frame. Indeed, the records of the socioeconomic development of Ghana and Africa in general cannot be complete without acknowledging the speaker, who I will introduce in a little while, for the role and the great feat he has played in the lives of the youth and the young people across the continent. And just my own testimony of this gentleman as a Vice Chancellor of a technical university in this country. He was instrumental in ensuring that the conditions of service of staff of the technical universities, which until recently were much below those of our counterparts in the traditional university, he ensured that they became equivalent. He has played a tremendous role in uplifting TVET education in Ghana. I have the honor, therefore, to introduce to you Honorable Dr. Osei Adutwum, the Minister of Education of the Republic of Ghana. Minister, you are most welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here.
I didn't know he was talking about me. It's a great honor and opportunity to be here with you this morning. ATUPA is here, and we're honored that you chose to host this great conference in Ghana. His Excellency Prof. Mohammed, Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, African Union Commission, Professor Samuel, okay, how to move on, to Honorable Jahou Samba Faal, ATUPA Secretary General, Professor Ben Honyenuga, ATUPA Executive Board Member, Country Rep, members of the Local Organizing Committee, Vice Chancellors of Technical Universities, Principals of Technical Institutes, students, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our friends from the media, good morning. The Commissioner for African Union had key questions for us. It was exciting to hear him ask some questions. The good news is that Ghana has answers to the questions. So he couldn't have ended at a better place for me to continue. He talked about foundational learning and the fact that 90% of African youth at a certain grade level cannot read for understanding, and he's right. He spoke about the fact that if you don't create a broader ecosystem for education, TVET will not thrive, and he's right. He said many things about education generally, talked about the rise of artificial intelligence, decolonization. These are some of the key questions that was posed to us. Ghana is making great strides in answering your questions, Mr. Commissioner. So I think you ended on a note where I could also continue. The President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, have made education the centerpiece of his tenure. During the last 7 years, he's done so much for education. He began with the introduction of free secondary education in Ghana. For many years after independence, if you were poor, you ended your education at the junior high school, and that was it. You were left to your own fate. You couldn't go to TVET schools, you couldn't go to the regular secondary schools because the opportunity was not extended to you by the government. The president felt strongly that great injustice was being done to a section of the Ghanaian society, and therefore, after assuming office in 2017, he introduced the free secondary education. Through the free secondary education, we were able to increase secondary enrollment from 830,000 in 2016 to now 1.4 million across the length and breadth of this country. The vast majority of these students happen to be in boarding schools, and they are fed 3 times a day. They are given free uniforms and many other things. Teachers are paid extra so that they can offer extra instruction to these students coming from the length and breadth of this nation. His premise is very simple. If Africa is to move into the 21st century, if Africa is going to be competitive, we have to prioritize education. I know there are many, many naysayers who thought Ghana was not ripe enough to introduce free secondary education. How dare we do the things that America is doing? Because America has done free secondary education. But Ghana did it and did it better by adding more to the activities and the kind of things we give to secondary school students even around the world. I think Africa, and Africa is in the room, we have to begin to understand that transformation depends on education. In 2015, only 2% of Ghanaian children could read for understanding. The commissioner talked about, in case you did not hear him right, 90% could not read. That means only 10% can read. In our schools, especially by age 10, which the World Bank calls learning poverty, 90% cannot read for understanding. So only 10%, but in Ghana in 2015, it was 2%. The president and all of us were not happy about that. And today we've raised it to 38%. We are still not happy, because 38% means 62 can't. And that should not be our story 2 years, 5 years from now. But how would you be able to even know what is going on if you don't have a national standardized test? Your students are not taking an assessment, so you get to hear what you want to hear. So Ghana, 2 years ago, introduced the national standardized test. We assess all primary 2 students across the country. We assess all primary 4 students across the country. So now we know, from the national level to the regional level to the district level to the school level, those who are not doing well. We are setting up a student information system that's going to track students, so that we know if they did not do in primary 2, what happened to them a year after, what intervention was given to them to make them proficient in primary 4 when we assess them again. So yes, before we talk TVET, we have to talk foundational learning and make sure our children are equipped to participate in the TVET space and in the STEM space. You know, I've resorted to what I call evidence-based communication, because I know in Africa the politician is not trusted. When you talk, they want to hear you talk about it's in the pipeline. Plans are far advanced. And they say, yeah, that's African politician. So I don't want to be tagged as your typical African politician. So permit me to show you a few images of what is happening in Ghana. And then we'll continue from there. Permit me to show you what is happening at a girls' high school called Efiakobi in the Ashanti region of Ghana. And takes a few minutes, you see from there. I want to give you a chance to watch it, and then we'll talk about it. Evidence-based communication. I want to be trusted. So watch this carefully. It's a drone, an unmanned aircraft designed by the girls at the school. It's 100% girls' high school. Don't clap yet. Don't clap yet. Just wait 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And you see it in the sky. Can you still see it? It's in the sky. It's flying. Is it? Yes, it's right there. You can see it. It's flying. It hasn't disappeared. It will come back and land. And that is where you clap for them. Did they come back? Show the images of the young ladies. I was with them this past Sunday. We had a nice time chatting about what they want to do, where they want to go, and what their future is going to be. These young ladies are super determined that they can change the course of history of their country. We've recently heard about the Indian space program and their landing on the moon. Should serve as an inspiration to us all that we also can do same. But it's going to begin when we really create a pipeline of young women and men who sees possibilities and not impossibilities, who begin to realize the Ghanaian and African dream, not the Ghanaian and African nightmare. and begin to understand that they need to develop a growth mindset, a mindset that tells them that everything is possible. I was with them, and the planes that they have done, the unmanned aircraft that they've done is displayed there. It's almost like a museum. They only see possibilities, they see hope, they see opportunity. But you can't get here when you are not literate enough to read and research and develop. For those of you in the TVET space, champion STEM. Don't allow STEM to be taken away from you. Because you see, you do engineering in our technical institutes and they call it TVET. In the so-called regular university, when they do engineering, they call it STEM. You should be the champions of STEM. Let us understand that the era of artificial intelligence and all the things that are going on is changing the face of not just education, but of life generally. In this 21st century and in this fourth industrial revolution, Africa cannot be left out. Ghana cannot be left out. We missed the first industrial revolution, the steam engine, the electricity came, the second industrial revolution. We were not part of the beneficiaries. Then computers came. We did not transform societies. We did not get the opportunity to use computers to our advantage. Now we are in the fourth industrial revolution, the fusion of the electrical and the biological. Enter your house using facial recognition software. Getting a robot to be your personal assistant. Things are shifting and it's changing. All the jobs that we know about one day, most of them will disappear. What I dread is that a day will come when robots are taking over many jobs in Africa, but the robots are not made by Africans. So your jobs disappear. You also don't control, you don't develop, don't design the robots that are taking over. You have to go and buy. When you buy the robots, they come to take over your jobs. That would be a tragedy for Africa. We have to design our own software so that we don't pay license fees all over the place to various organizations that are so wealthy but will take your money because you don't have the software to your name and to your credit. The journey for African transformation begins today for all of us who have not begun. I'm so happy that in Ghana, the president is making great strides, making great investment to change the course of history for our people. Technical universities have to begin to take a serious look at your general education courses. You should not be interested in just training engineers who don't know anything about their country. So because a student is pursuing engineering, they don't take a course in history when they enter your university. Then you go to look at the high school courses offered and they did not do history. Your students who are doing entrepreneurship are not taking courses in geography. But you tell them all the time that they can take advantage of AFTA. Yes, African free trade, yeah, we're going to take advantage of it, but your students don't know geography. They don't know where Congo is. But you are saying that you're going to take advantage of African free trade and you don't know the countries. Take a look at your high school social studies curriculum. And in some countries, you weep for Africa. We've realized that in Ghana, we are changing it. Took a look at the social studies curriculum and I realized that history, geography, has been taken out of it completely. From junior high school to high school, students are not getting the chance to talk about African history, African geography, Ghanaian history, missing in action. High school social studies curriculum, talking about sustainable development, human reproductive rights and conflict resolution. All those things are good. But if you don't know the history of your country, how can you even talk about patriotism? You talk about Pan-Africanism, but they don't know where the countries are in Africa. So yes, Commissioner, it's not just about TVET, but you have to begin to look at the broader education ecosystem and make sure it's well situated so that TVET can play its rightful role. Some of the people who have been underutilized in our societies and in our countries are those who pursue marketing. Maybe it will be a surprise some of you to hear me talk about marketing. I champion them a lot. But I tell you this, marketing, most of your universities offer marketing, one of the most underutilized courses in Africa. I know in Ghana. You go and produce the item and you ask the person who is doing marketing to make sure it's sold. Why didn't you ask the marketing professional to tell you what can be sold and what is needed? Live in America for about 26 years. In America, the holidays, Independence Day, are the days that most shops open for people to go and buy things. Car dealerships open during the holidays because that's when people are home. So one day I decided to go to one dealership here in Accra to see the cars that they have on a holiday. I went and they were closed. On the holiday, that people can get a chance. They're also taking a holiday. So what day do you want me to come and buy your car? And then you are the same people who are going to say that, oh, they are not buying the cars. The people who can buy the cars, who are at home during the holidays and can come to your dealership with their family members to look at the car, the day that they are home, you've closed. Then you talk about, the economy is not good. That is why things are not being purchased. No. You did not open your shop on the day that people can come and buy. Where are our marketing people? Marketers have a way of getting us excited about the opportunities that we derive from the products that will get us working harder so that we can get the benefit of the product the marketers are projecting. So the ecosystem has to be created. Where are the African classics? Where are the books that every African child must read before they graduate from the university? How can you talk about the fact that we are producing people who change the course of history of African engineers, who invent great things, and they will be able to make money from it and boost our economy, but they don't know economics. They don't know demand and supply because they are doing engineering. So you didn't tell them that there's something called demand and supply. And then you wonder why, that your engineers are not entrepreneurial enough. Teach entrepreneurial studies, but your students don't know geography. They don't know where to sell their products. They don't know the population of the countries and where the demand is for the items that they are producing, but you want to bring about innovation. So in the same way that the commissioner had questions for me, I have questions for you. Let's change the curriculum of our institutions. You're teaching marketing without information technology, and you think they will be great professionals. Teaching science and technology, doing so much in that area, but no history. So we have a situation where the entire ecosystem of our education system has been looked at so that we can perfectly situate TVET education. In Ghana, TVET used to be at the pre-tertiary level under about 17 ministries. Every ministry had a TVET program. The government decided that they would move TVET from all the 17 ministries to one ministry, Ministry of Education. And that is the situation now. And now we have a deputy minister in charge of TVET, Now we are moving into a dual TVET system like the Germans do, so that TVET can become more practical, take away the textbook-oriented TVET system to a practical-oriented, industry-focused TVET system. Make sure TVET is also championing STEM, because there's that dichotomy and there's not much dichotomy. In practice, that's what we do, to say STEM is here, TVET is here, but they are one and the same. So we are moving on a track that will enable us to realize the full potential of TVET and what it brings to our nation and what it brings to our families and what it brings to individuals, to really project TVET in such a way that it's not for those who are not bright, so to speak, but it's for all. So CTVET, whose Director General is here, Dr. Che, has done a fantastic job ensuring that there's a My TVET campaign, so that students will begin to realize that the brightest in your junior high school class should rather be the one selecting TVET and not the other way around. So we have to work hard to make sure that TVET is attractive to all, and they come together to bring about innovation. We always talk about the German TVET, and I don't think the German TVET was a TVET that was to train children to repair cars. But TVET that made people assemble cars, manufacture parts. So we have to begin to seriously look at that our TVET should be TVET of innovation. And when we talk TVET of innovation, it means the science foundation should be strong. And that is why you cannot separate the sciences from TVET. The foundation should be strong. And that is what will give you opportunity to study material science and know what materials you can use in manufacturing. So if you're talking about TVET of the 21st century, TVET of transformation is not the TVET to repair the car manufactured in Europe. It's a TVET to build cars here. And if that is the focus, science should be emphasized. STEM should be part of the solution, should be part of the formula. Let us together look at TVET that will transform Africa. Technical universities have a great role in this. And as I earlier on said, let us begin to champion TVET of the future, champion STEM, and make sure we can change the course of history of Africa. The future of Africa depends on us. It's not going to be anybody's responsibility but us. But how do you open the minds of the children to even understand that everything is possible if we are not talking about growth mindset? If the children of Africa has a fixed mindset, then they are going to think that nothing great will happen to them. And it's all going to be about what others have done to us and what we have done to ourselves. So we're going to have to ensure that growth mindset is taught. And our children understand that they can do everything that they set their minds to. And when they come to the universities, we also have to have a more robust general education curriculum. So they are not just doing engineering, but before they enter the engineering classrooms, they know something about geography. They know something about economics, law. They know something about literature. And of course, they know something about history. And that will be the guiding principle that enables them to really drive the innovation that we have been waiting for. I'll show you a few clips here and, to let you know that this is not a pipeline and plans are far advanced. We have TVET schools that are fully equipped. It's fascinating. This is a STEM center, by the way. We have students go there from junior high schools. They do robotics and coding. This is in Accra. In case you want to visit, I think they can arrange for those of you from other countries. sure you saw a lot of our young ladies there. We want to make sure that we improve the girls' participation in TVET and STEM. So you can't hear the voice well. But the bottom line is this. We have to also become more gender sensitive. We don't want a TVET space where all the young ladies are pushed to home economics and the boys are doing engineering. So government is making great strides in that area. We happen probably to be one of the few countries in sub-Saharan Africa where we are literally a few points away from gender parity in secondary education. In a few years back, before free secondary education, we have a 0.92 gender parity. Now, as I speak, we are 0.99. And this year, more girls sat for the junior high school exit exam than boys. So next academic year, we are likely to be at 1.0. That means equal number of boys as girls in secondary education. But what we are now looking at is that now that we are gender parity, we have to be concerned about the courses the students do when they get to the secondary school. If we are pushing more girls into home economics than boys into engineering, there's something wrong. That is why we are building more STEM schools for girls. And these schools for girls across the country, we've been supported by Kuwait Fund. Government of Ghana just opened one, is at the second year. And the girls are into STEM, 100% participation in STEM. We are building 2 more that we are going to open. In the technical institutes that have been fully equipped, we also ensure that girls are counseled to select engineering programs. There's nothing wrong with home economics, but if it's good for the girls, it should be good for the boys too. So we have to make sure counseling is provided, equipment that they need is there to make the field attractive to our young ladies. So we've moved from access parity, now we want to do parity based on the programs that are offered at the institutions. I believe that together we can create a more equitable society where opportunity is extended to all, a society where when we all rise, we rise together, and get to a point where a child growing up in Ghana, irrespective of where they were born, will know that opportunity is there for them. Girl or boy, they will know that the future of the nation is bright for them equally. So today, as you celebrate this event and participate, those of you here for the first time participate in this conference, the government of Ghana is fully determined that will leave no stone unturned in changing the course of history of our nation. We want it to be said that we came, we saw challenges, but within the challenges we saw great opportunities and changed the course of history of our nation. It is that motivates us. It is that has brought us here. So as we sit here, let us reflect on what we are going to do in our home countries to bring transformation to Africa. African story should not be that of poverty and disease and deprivation. We all have to create a better Africa, and when we look back 20 years from now, we could say with confidence that we did our part. We did not allow anybody to define us. We did not allow circumstances to define us. We lifted ourselves by our bootstraps and did everything possible to create a better Africa. It is that Africa that we should all be proud of. You go to bed, think about Africa, and wake up, think about what you can do differently to create a different history. I'm a politician. I think about legacy. One day I woke up in the morning and said to myself, what about if when I retire, I get a visit from 100 engineers from my constituency? I got excited about it. I called a few friends and I said, I'm introducing this initiative to train 100 engineers and medical doctors in my constituency. Support came. Today I have 150 of them. pursue engineering and medicine. The New Year's Day, they came in their numbers, and I was super excited. I thought I would do that in 10 years. I was able to do it in 2 years. There were children everywhere in my villages qualified to do engineering and medicine, waiting for somebody to give them a helping hand. And together with my friends, we embarked on an adventure that is changing the course of history for these young men and women in villages who would never have had our opportunity. Inspired by that, at the national level, we started a program to support children from rural areas who want to be engineers. Now the government of Ghana is saying that if you need funds to go to the university, you don't really have to produce a guarantor for our government loans. We have removed that so that we can open the floodgates of tertiary education to all. It is some of these programs that will help change the course of history of Africa. So don't allow anybody to tell you that one person cannot help transform societies. You can. If you are passing by an elementary school, go there and talk to the children and use your life as an example for them to know that if you have been able to travel the world, they too can travel the world. Understand that the vast majority of our African people will never sit in a room like this. They will never dress like you. They may not be able to eat the food that you eat or ride in the car that you ride in. They will never fly the airplane. Those of us who are here are the privileged few. We have to extend ourselves and lift the children up and tell them their future will be different because our future is different. It is in our interest to lift them up. When we lift them up, our society will be lifted up. And Africa's place will not be that of poverty, disease, and deprivation. We can do it. We are talented individuals. We sit here, bright, just like anybody else. Why can't we do the impossible? We can. Thank you.
Well, the minister, when he speaks about TVET and STEM education, sometimes you wonder the background of his own training. And it's surprising that he himself doesn't have a training in neither TVET nor STEM. And yet, he's so dedicated, committed to the cause of this idea. Minister, we are grateful to you for sharing your ideas with us. Please, let's give it to him again. We are approaching the end of this morning's session. I think we have one last activity left, and that is the conferment of ATUPA 2023 Awards of Excellence for Development in Africa. I understand some individuals have distinguished themselves on the continent who deserve to be acknowledged. And to do this, I will invite the Secretary General of ATUPA to help us.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chief Guest. I think we are all fired up, and thank you for the encouragement that we are on the right path. Commissioner, also thank you for your remarks. Before I do the segment on the Awards of Excellence, I would like to appreciate two distinguished personalities. Kindly allow me to do that. In the process, I would invite the representation from the Executive Board of ATUPA. From the Western region, I have Professor Fadel Mohammed Nyang. If you would like to join us onto the days, kindly, Professor Nyang. I have also Madam Glory to represent the Eastern region of the ATUPA Executive Board, and Dr. Tafadza Mudundu from Zimbabwe, the chair of the Southern region. Kindly join me to do this appreciation. I would also like to invite our chair, Professor Laila, to come on board, and also the LOC Chair and Senior Executive Board Member, Professor Ben. Kindly join me on stage whilst we do this. The first appreciation is going to the Secretary General of CEAIE, and this is to be received by the Deputy Secretary General, Zong. Kindly come on stage to receive this appreciation from the ATUPA Secretariat and Executive Board. Thank you, and extend our warmest regards to the Secretary General as you return, the end of the event of the CEAIE. Thank you so much for coming. The next award, well, is more of an appreciation, token of appreciation from the Secretariat and the Executive Board, and this one goes to our dear Commissioner for the African Union Commission, Professor Mohammed Belhocine, is being appreciated, and I would right away invite, we need to open it. Hold up. Thank you, High Commissioner. Your Excellency, kindly accept this token of appreciation from the Secretariat and the ATUPA family. Thank you. Thank you for coming, and thank you for honoring our invitation. Now we move on to the ATUPA Awards of Excellence for Development in Africa. And this segment, which is now part of the ATUPA events, started in 2014. And it is given to honor outstanding individuals and organizations that are contributing to technical education and socio-economic progress in Africa. The awards spotlight leaders in policy, in industry, in business, and social enterprises who positively influence African development and are aligned with ATUPA's goal of forming a potent network of influential partners to achieve the African Union's Development Agenda 2063. The recipients of an award for 2023, in the year 2023, the Association of Technical Universities and Polytechnics in Africa is honored to give awards of excellence to the following dignitaries. Dr. Fred Cheyi Asamoah. Dr. Fred Cheyi Asamoah holds a Doctor of Pharmacy degree from the University of Denver in Colorado in USA, a Bachelor of Pharmacy from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi. He's the current Director General of the Commission for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, CTVET, and he believes that Ghana's entrepreneurship and industrialization agenda can only succeed if the youth focus on equipping themselves with vocational and technical skills. Dr. Asamoah exhibits a high level of dedication to TVET development and progress in Ghana, and he has been part of a team that developed a 5-year strategic plan to restructure TVET delivery in Ghana between 2018 and 2022. And this was to align it with the government's vision of using TVET as a tool for job creation, industrial development, and economic growth. Dr. Asamoah is also a strong believer in results and is set to change the face of TVET in skills development in Ghana and sub-Saharan Africa. We are therefore extremely humbled to be associated with him. Indeed, we as an association appreciate you with this award of excellence, sir. Thank you, sir. The second recipient is Professor Mohammed Salifu. Professor Mohammed Salifu is being represented. Thank you. Dr. Mohammed Salifu is being represented by Dr. Newman, who is going to receive the award on his behalf. Professor Mohammed Salifu is a holder of a PhD in transport engineering at the University of Newcastle upon Tyne. He also studied civil and highway engineering at Moscow Automobile and Road Construction State Technical University. Currently, Professor Salifu is the Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC. He possesses over 20 years of experience in higher education teaching, research and service to industry, and the community as a transportation and road transport safety and logistics expert. He's also a professor of transport engineering at the Department of Civil Engineering at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, NOST. Over the years, he has served variously as head of civil engineering at NOST, that is between 2010 and 2014. He was the head of Traffic and Transportation Engineering Division of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, from 2004 to 2006. He has training in finance for non-finance managers, corporate governance, strategic team building, and appraisal. Professor Salifu was the Executive Secretary of the National Council for Tertiary Education and is a fellow of the Ghanaian Institution of Engineers and has served inter alia as the National Vice President and Head of Education and Training from 2011 to 2012. And as the patron and sole sponsor of the Darkborn Thesis Assistance Fund. The Executive Board and the entire ATUPA family honor Professor Mohammed Salifu for his excellent role as Director General of GTEC in ensuring parity of prestige among universities in Ghana, and for his particular commitment towards STEM education, TVET development, and for his outstanding role in the transformation of technical universities in Ghana. Kindly appreciate Dr. Salifu on our behalf. Now we have the third well-deserved recipient today, Honorable Minister of Education, Honorable Dr. Jahou Adutwum. ATUPA is honored to award the Honorable Minister an Award of Excellence in recognition of his exceptional role in development of education in Ghana. Honorable Dr. Jahou Adutwum is the current Minister for Education. He is also the founder and former Chief Executive Officer of New Designs Charter Schools. Before founding the first New Designs Charter Schools, he worked as a mathematics and information technology teacher at the Manual Arts High School for 10 years. At Manual Arts High School, he founded the International Studies Academy, which served as a small learning community where many students thrived socially and academically. In addition, he served as a lead math teacher in the USE Manual Arts Neighborhood Academic Initiative. He experienced in this NAI Institute program and confirmed his belief that high standards in a well-structured learning environment could lead to higher levels of student achievement. Most of the students he taught in the NAI program proceeded to higher education in institutions like UCLA, the USC, Yale, USC Berkeley, Stanford, and Cornell University, among others. At the national level, he served for 2 years as a member of a task force established by the National Research Center for Career and Technical to develop a national model for career and technical education at the high school and college levels. The project was coordinated by the New Designs for Learning Center based at the University of Oregon and was headed by George Cooper, a professor of education and a career technical education expert. Honorable Adutwum grew up in Ghana and obtained a bachelor's degree in Learn Economy, Business Administration with a major in real estate from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. In addition, he has a master's degree in education management from the University of Louvain and a PhD in educational policy, planning and administration from the University of Southern California. As a Minister for Education par excellence, Honorable Dr. Osei Adutwum has provided an effective roadmap for the development of Ghana and Africa through TVET. In 2022, he granted scholarships to engineering and medical students from his constituency for the 2022 academic year. With this initiative, the total number of students receiving the MP's scholarship for engineering and medicine has grown tremendously, inching closer to his goal of supporting 100 students within a 10-year time frame. Indeed, the records of the socio-economic development of Ghana and Africa in general cannot be complete without acknowledging Dr. Honorable Osei Adutwum's tremendous role in this great feat in the lives of the youth and young people across the continent. We therefore say, Ayiko, well done, Honorable Minister. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary General. I think it's noteworthy that the two principal leaders of ATUPA are all women. And the minister made a point that as we champion TVET education, we should be mindful that we don't push the ladies to what traditionally has been seen as what ladies do. The HCIMs and what have you. I think these ladies, they are showing the way for all ladies across the continent to take TVET education serious in varied areas. Madam Secretary General, thank you very much. I have yet one testimony to make. So a lot has been said about the minister's scholarship to so many kids to study STEM, medicine, and what have you. One of those kids is from my village. Okay, so won't you clap for him? A kid from my village has also benefited from his generosity. Thank you very much. We are at the tail end of this morning's session. I think we are behind time, so permit me not belabor ourselves by trying to summarize what has transpired here this morning. Just a few takeaways that I want to remind ourselves of. I think the point has been made that TVET is the way to go. TVET is the way to go if Africa wants to catch up with the rest of the world. The point has also been made that TVET can enable Africa build robust and adaptable economies. If we want our economies to catch up with the rest of the world, TVET is the way to go. And then the thing about mindset, I think the bit I know, especially in this country, is that the mindset about TVET education vis-a-vis the grammar education is still in transition. Okay? People more think of grammar education as the place where intelligent kids go to get their studies. I'm hoping that especially those of us who have been beneficiaries of this TVET thing, we can help change the mindset in our communities that TVET education is as good, if not better, than the traditional grammar education that we are used to. So the mindset thing, we need to work on it. And finally, strengthen our cooperation with our Chinese counterparts. I think for them to travel all the way from China, so many of them to be part of this program, shows the seriousness that they attach to helping Africa transform through TVET education. Earlier I said I had the benefit of traveling to China because my university had a cooperation agreement with two such institutions. And trust me, what is happening there, you have to be there to see, to believe it. I'm hoping that those of us on this continent who are here will take advantage of the presence of the heads of institutions from China to try to establish some such cooperation that will enable us work with them, draw lessons from them to help build our schools in mainstreaming TVET education. On that note, I would first of all want to thank our dignitaries here for making time to be with us, and also to all of you for cooperating with me to make this program, at least this session of the program, so successful. Thank you very much. I understand that right from here, we'll all move out there to the terrace to take a group photograph. So let's take note. Once you leave here, kindly head to the terrace. Oh, okay, I'm told that the photography is going to happen here. So don't go out there. Stay put and let's take the picture, the photographs here. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
So the order of photography, those on the high table here will take first, after which executive board members will join for the second session in that order, please. So photographers, come over. May I also remind you that after the photography, there will be 30 minutes half break where we will take tea and come back for the second session. So 30 minutes break after the photography session. We're coming back for the keynote presentation 1, after which we will go for lunch. So kindly take note of that. Please, the executive board members, kindly join upstage. After which, Vice Chancellors hearing present, you will join as well. Thank you. Please, Vice Chancellors hearing present, kindly join for the final session of the photography. Thank you. Thank you. So we're going for 30 minutes break, and we're coming back here at 1 p.m.